House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner has told us there are going to be hearings to determine, the spring pollen here is amazing, to determine how the latest leak of classified intelligence documents could happen, and to learn what future safeguards the Biden administration is going to put in place. Earlier today, I spoke to Congressman Jim Himes, the top Democrat on that committee, to discuss what lawmakers want to know. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, so the first question is, how does a 21-year-old enlisted man in the Massachusetts Air National Guard get access to top-secret intelligence about Ukraine and Russia, China, Israel, other key allies?
Yeah, well, that is the question amongst others, and that's obviously something that will be the subject of some pretty intense congressional oversight, which, of course, is what I do. And you understand the tension here, right? Intelligence is valuable in as much as it is shared. We learned that lesson on 9/11, but here's an instance where, and, we'll let the facts out, but this is an instance in which it is almost inconceivable that this particular individual, A, had access to the information, B, that that the individual was able to print this stuff out and take it away and photograph it. And then finally, in a world of very advanced technology, that apparently this stuff could live on the internet in various chat rooms and be viewed by people quite possibly for weeks or months before the Department of Defense became aware of it being in the wild in the first week of April.
So how does this happen after all the steps that were supposed to be taken during the 10 years since Edward Snowden?
Yeah, well, that is precisely the question. And it's too early without the facts in front of us to know. But this is obviously a problem that needs to be fixed. Now, here's where I think we go. I want to know all about the culture and leadership inside the Massachusetts Air National Guard. This would suggest that this individual, Teixeira, was not particularly well supervised. What was the environment? Were people lackadaisical about classified information, or did they have the appropriate respect for it? Then there are the technical questions about how the access was granted and how the printer was made available to this individual. So there are a lot of questions, but to your larger point, this needs to get fixed. I mean, we're only now starting to see the story around classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. To take the other end of the seniority spectrum, classified documents in two former vice presidents' personal residences. This is a moment for what the military calls a stand down. Let's figure out how we're getting this wrong so often and how do we make it better.
You've made the point that as important as what we share is what we get from our allies. This is as yet another example to our allies, particularly the Five Eyes, the closest nations to us, with which we share almost everything, that the U.S. cannot protect our secrets, including what they're sharing, what they're giving us. How damaging is that?
Well, one of the reasons I've got some emotion about this is that unlike the, many other leaks that we've heard of in the past, this is a situation where, before we get to our allies, let's talk about what's happening in Ukraine on the ground right now. If we lose sources and methods that was providing assistance to the Ukrainians will die. And that just has me beside myself thinking about that as a possibility. But you're absolutely right on the allies. I can't get into the specifics, but I know of several terrorist attacks that were stopped because we had good intelligence sharing with our very, very capable allies. And of course, they put themselves at great risk to collect that intelligence, very literally at risk of life and death. And if the British or the Australians or the South Koreans or the Israelis are thinking that we can't protect their sources and methods, guess what? We're going to see a decline in their willingness to share with us, which will make us less safe.
I also want to turn to Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and play what we just heard from his mother, Ella. This was with the Wall Street Journal, talking about how they fled the Soviet Union in 1979.
It's what's one of the American qualities that we absorbed. Be optimistic, believe in happy ending. That's where we stand right now. But I am not stupid. I understand what's involved, but that's what I choose to believe.
So the Russians are now saying that they are open to a prisoner swap, but only after what could be more than a year of legal proceedings from what we know about how these things go. Is there any way that what can the U.S. do? What can our hostage envoy do to try to get him and Paul Whelan home sooner than that?
Well, these cases, of course, when they're wrapped up in larger geopolitical issues, are very hard. You know, the Russians, in my opinion, have done this because it's one way to take a slap at us as we assist the Ukrainians. And of course, it is an innocent journalist who is suffering as a result. But we see this with the Iranians as well. I've got a constituent that has been held for years by the Iranians who is innocent. So it's very hard. But I think the answer is number one, yes, we keep working. You know, on a person-to-person level to get these people home. And number two, the world needs to make it very plain to Russia, to Iran, to other countries that do this, that they will not see a dime of foreign investment as long as they are taking hostages in this way. And that matters. That matters. It may not matter in the near term, but look, if I'm thinking about making an investment, I'm a bank or I'm a social media company or whatever, an exporter, and I'm thinking about making an investment in Russia or anywhere else, if there's a risk that my people are used as pawns in a geopolitical chess game, guess what? I'm not doing business there. And these people need to understand that larger fact.
Congressman Jim Himes, of course, a key member, the top Democrat on House Intelligence. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate it.